Making headlines. The President designates the Communications Authority of Maldives to function under the Homeland Security Ministry. The President's office discloses that the President is scheduled to visit neighboring India in the coming days. And the government confirms that efforts to implement a ban on Israeli passports in Maldives will be accelerated during the upcoming parliamentary term.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to PSMNEWS in English with me, Utma Mahmoud. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz designates the Communications Authority of Maldives to function under the Ministry of Homeland Security and Technology. This change was brought following a directive issued by the President's office on August 10. This change has come into immediate effect. President Dr. Muiz made the decision under powers vested in him by Article 116A of the Constitution of the Republic of Maldives. The Communication Authority of Maldives previously functioned under the Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works. While it has been transferred to function under the Homeland Security, the National Center for Information Technology was also designed under the ministry recently. The President's office has disclosed that President Dr. Mohamed Muiz is scheduled to visit neighboring India in the coming days. This was disclosed by the spokesperson of the President, Hina Walid, during a press conference held on Tuesday. Hina disclosed that the date for the President's upcoming visit to India is currently being discussed. She noted that the date of the visit will be determined after considering the most convenient date for both the leaders of the countries. In June 2024, President Muiz travelled to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers of the Government of India. Upon conclusion of the visit, the President affirmed that his official visit to India was successful and played a pivotal role to enhance the bilateral relations between the two nations, benefiting the Maldivians. The government confirms that efforts to implement a ban on Israeli passports in the Maldives will be accelerated during the upcoming parliamentary term. Speaking at a press conference, Chief spokesperson at the President's office, Hina Walid, revealed that Maldives is a country which advocates for the independence and sovereignty of Palestine. She emphasized that President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has been calling for the independence of Palestine on various platforms, reiterating that the Maldives' stand on the Israeli-Palestine conflict remains unchanged. Furthermore, Hina stated that funds raised from the telethon held under the recommendation of the government has been deposited to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees UNRWA account. Additionally, she noted that the Maldives' first shipment of canned fish to Palestine is planned for September 15. The shipment, consisting of 7,800 cases, is expected to reach Palestinians within 40 days with the assistance of the Egyptian Red Crescent and the Palestine Red Crescent Society. The proposed legislation to ban Israeli passports from entering the Maldives is currently under review by the Parliament's Committee on National Security Services. Attorney General Ahmad Usham indicated that the bill, which aims to impose a comprehensive ban, is undergoing further amendments at a committee level. The Asian Development Bank ADB holds discussions on the establishment of a resident mission in the Maldives. The discussions were led by Executive Director of ADB, Dr. Justin Siket, during his current visit to the Maldives. He met with officials from the Ministry of Finance, including Minister of Finance Dr. Mohammad Shafiq, to explore efforts aimed at strengthening the financial sector of the country. The meeting also covered the fiscal reforms being implemented in the Maldives, as well as areas of cooperation between the Maldives and ADB, including the potential establishment of an ADB resident mission. Dr. Siket's three-day visit to the Maldives involves meeting with various government officials, During a separate meeting, Minister of Construction and Infrastructure Dr. Abdullah Muttalib also shared the government's vision for infrastructure development with the ADB representatives. He also provided insights into ongoing construction projects and the financial challenges they face. The Maldives has been a member of the ADB since 1978. It has received both financial and technical support for numerous development projects. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Saeed calls on the youth to collaborate with the government in improving the country's current situation. He made the statement during a ceremony held at Villa College. Speaking at the event, which marked the rebranding and launch of the Faculty of Business Management and the Incubation Center at Villa College, Minister Saeed highlighted the significant contribution of tourism to the nation's gross domestic product (GDP). He also emphasized the government's efforts to diversify the economy by expanding tourism and developing other industries. Additionally, Minister Saeed reflected on the challenging state of the country when the government assumed power, noting that national debt had reached $122 billion. He commended the leadership of an educated president committed to national development and urged citizens to set aside ideological differences and join efforts to rebuild the country. He also particularly encouraged the youth to take an active role in these initiatives. As part of the ceremony, the Faculty of Business Management and Villa College was rebranded as the Qasim Ibrahim School of Business, and a new incubation center was launched. The center will support students by turning their business or creative ideas into reality, offering funding and other necessary resources. Maldives and Malaysia signs a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to strengthen cooperation in higher education between the Maldives and Malaysia. The MOU was signed by the Minister of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development Dr. Mariam Maria and the Chief Executive Officer of Education Malaysia Global Services (EMGS) Novi Tajuddin. Under the agreement, 561 scholarships in 6 fields will be awarded to Maldivian students to study in selected Malaysian institutions, providing them with financial support to achieve their educational goals. As such, students studying in Malaysian universities will be awarded a remarkable discount of 70% from their course fees. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Minister Dr. Maria stated that these opportunities presented to students will give them a golden opportunity to complete courses from globally recognized universities. Highlighting that this was also an opportunity to develop human resources in significant fields required for the Maldives, the minister reiterated the government's overachieving goal of founding a generation which will support the nation's development. Meanwhile, the CEO of EMGS assured that the Malaysian authorities will ensure convenient arrangements for students to secure their visas and will also provide the course fees. He stated that efforts will be made to strengthen the bilateral ties between the two countries in the educational field and provide more opportunities. Malaysia is one of the top countries in which Maldivian students go to seek education, with approximately 1,700 students studying in various Malaysian universities. The Ministry of Higher Education, Labour and Skill Development revealed that students currently seeking education and those planning to obtain education in Malaysia through loans can also benefit from this opportunity. The Ministry of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development announces the establishment of a register for retired service personnel, as well as technical and administrative staff who are hesitant to accept permanent employment. The registration for this opportunity is now open. A regulation was introduced in August to reinstate technical and administrative employees who have left the service or who decline permanent positions. As such, the ministry stated that the register was established to implement a special policy aimed at facilitating the return of these servicemen and professionals. The deadline for registration is September 8, 2025, before 2 p.m. The initiative endorsed by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz is designed to address challenges in recruiting professionals and to offer employment opportunities to experienced individuals across various fields. The recruitment will occur through this special register, with individual agencies responsible for hiring from it. The individuals listed in the register will be hired under specific circumstances, such as when an employee is on maternity leave, long-term leave, when a position has been advertised twice without success, for temporary employment until a permanent hire is made, or for seasonal work. The regulation also provides employment opportunities for those who have left the service for different reasons and those unwilling to commit to full-time positions. In certain cases, when duties can be effectively performed remotely, individuals will be hired under flexible arrangements. In addition, retired individuals from administrative roles in the civil service will be considered for re-employment. However, front office counter service jobs and senior management positions are excluded from the scheme. The Ministry of Youth, Empowerment, Information and the Arts reopens nominations for this year's Youth Awards. The awards aim to recognize and encourage the valuable contributions of young individuals across various fields in the development of the nation. It acknowledges the significant role youth play in shaping the country and inspire them to become responsible, productive, and engaged members of society. The original nomination period ran from June 9th to July 4th, with the award ceremony scheduled for August 12th. However, the Ministry postponed the event and has now extended the nomination window. This year, awards will be given in 17 categories, including business and economy, arts and culture, charity work, mental health advocacy, environmental efforts, language utilization, sports, fisheries and agriculture, anti-drug initiatives, and vocational training. The International Achievement in Sports Awards and the Shahid Jawad Umar Memorial Shield will also be presented. Eligible individuals can now submit their nominations before 2 p.m. on September 19. The submissions will be accepted on official working days from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. The applicants from the islands can submit nominations via the Ministry's email info@youth.gov.mv. The Youth Awards are open to individuals aged 18 to 35, and the awards have been held in the Maldives since 2016. China's exports jumped in August, but imports fell well short of expectations. Data showed as the country's leaders struggle to boost consumption in the world's second largest economy.
Overseas shipments expanded 8.7% on year last month, according to China's General Administration of Customs, picking up speed from 7.0% growth in July. The reading was also much better than the 6.6% forecast in a Bloomberg survey of analysts. The figures will provide a little encouragement to leaders who have this year sought to counteract an array of headwinds that have dragged on growth, which has led to sluggish spending, with consumers reluctant to make large purchases. However, imports in August grew just 0.5%, a massive drop from the 7.2% enjoyed the month before and much lower than the 2.5% estimated in the Bloomberg survey. The data comes a day after news that consumer inflation picked up last month to a 6-month high but still came up short of expectations, leaving many worried the economy could slip back into deflation. Zhang Ziwei, president and chief economist at Pinpoint Asset Management, said in a note that China's economy continues to show diverging trends, with weak domestic demand and strong export competitiveness, both reflecting the domestic deflationary pressure. Zhang added that the question is how long exports can stay strong given the weakening U.S. economy and the rise in trade tension. China has charted an uneven economic trajectory since the abrupt cancelling of strict counter-pandemic measures in late 2022. Its rapid economic development in recent decades have been propelled in part by booming exports supported by a colossal factory sector. However, a closely watched report last week showed manufacturing activity shrunk last month at its fastest pace since February.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez calls for a negotiated solution at the World Trade Organization, WTO, to end a standoff between Beijing and the European Union, EU.
Sanchez's visit to China has seen him meet top officials including President Xi Jinping and call for dialogue and cooperation with the world's second-largest economy. The trip comes against the backdrop of mounting trade tensions between the European Union, EU, and China, primarily over Beijing's subsidies for its electric vehicle sector. Speaking at the inauguration of the Spain-China Business Forum in economic powerhouse city, Shanghai, Sanchez called for a European Union and China open to the world beyond geopolitical and economic tensions. He added that it is why they're betting on honest dialogue to solve existing tensions that result in large part from the imposition of tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. The European Commission, which oversees the bloc's trade policy, announced last month that it planned to impose 5-year import duties of up to 36% on electric vehicles imported from China. The following day, Beijing said it would launch a probe into EU subsidies of some dairy products exported to China. In June, China launched an anti-dumping investigation into imports from the bloc in response to an application submitted by a local trade grouping on behalf of domestic producers. The nation is the EU's largest exporter of products to China, selling more than 560 tons to the world's second-largest economy last year at a total value of 1.2 billion euros. In China's capital, Sanchez called for Madrid and Beijing to defend what he called a fair trade order. Sanchez wrote on social media after meeting President Xi that they must work together to resolve differences through negotiation in a spirit of dialogue and collaboration and within multilateral frameworks.
Aston Martin's now Formula One's star designer Adrian Newey as their new managing technical partner in a major boost for the Silverstone-based team.
Formula One's star designer Adrian Newey will join Aston Martin on March 1st next year as managing technical partner and will also become a shareholder in the Silverstone-based team. Newey, 65, said in May he was leaving champions Red Bull in search of new challenges. Aston Martin's owner Lawrence Stroll said that Newey was the best in the world at what he does. The 2025 season is due to start on March 16th with the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne and is the last championship before the sport enters a new engine era and major rules revamp in 2026.
The 26 rules, yes, of course, they are an opportunity because there'll be a reset for everybody. Whether we'll be able to capitalise on that or not, we just don't know. I think I never spend too long fretting about these things. Attitude is always get on and do the best job you can, and what will be at that point.
Cars designed by the Briton have won 25 drivers and constructors championships for Williams, McLaren and Red Bull. Newey was sought also by rival teams including title contenders Ferrari and McLaren. No details were given of his salary or shareholding, but media reports have indicated Newey will be paid some £20 million, $26.17 million a year. The Aston Martin team have 43-year-old double world champion Fernando Alonso and Stroll's son Lance as their drivers and an ambitious plan to get to the top.
The SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission, a daring multi-day orbital expedition that will feature the first ever spacewalk by private citizens, is targeting lift-off, though weather could play small sport.
A 4-member crew led by Shift 4 Payments CEO Jared Isaacman is also aiming to fly deeper into space than any other manned mission in more than half a century, reaching a peak altitude of 1,400 kilometers. SpaceX said in a news release that it is targeting September 10th for Falcon 9's launch of Polaris Dawn to low Earth orbit from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There are 2 additional launch opportunities with a 4-hour window, but the weather is currently only 40% favorable. SpaceX will carry a webcast on its website beginning roughly 3.5 hours before liftoff. If they launch, the highlight of the mission will be the first spacewalk composed entirely of non-professional astronauts who will be wearing sleek, newly developed SpaceX extravehicular activity EVA suits outfitted with heads-up displays, helmet cameras, and an advanced joint mobility system. On the first day of their mission, the craft will travel so high that it will briefly enter the Van Allen radiation belt, a region teeming with high-energy charged particles that can pose health risks to humans over extended periods. The mission has been delayed several times, initially due to a technical issue with the launch tower and since then because of weather constraints. The Crew Dragon capsule will not dock with the International Space Station ISS, which is why the weather needs to be favorable during both the launch and splashdown phase, around 6 days after liftoff. Isaacman has declined to reveal his total investment in the project, though reports suggest he paid around $200 million for the SpaceX Inspiration 4 mission in September 2021, the first all-civilian orbital mission.
That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant day ahead. Bye-bye.